Aries rising. How you doing, Aries? This is your reading for the full moon in Taurus that happened either on the 15th or the 16th of November, depending on what side of the planet you live on. So I'm recording this after the event, but I work with 6-month cycles, so the messages that come through in these readings aren't specific to around the time of the full moon. It's all a part of the unfolding that will take us to the Taurus new moon next year. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body. You just heard some vocal light language. You saw my hands moving around. That's a form of physical light language. And all of this brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through in this reading. So I'm going to be breaking down the astrology for Aries rising. I read for the rising signs. But for those of you who don't have Aries in the first house of your natal chart, look to what house it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house. And you want to apply those themes along with all the other meaning you've got going on in Aries. Say you've got your sun or your moon there. You want to apply all of that to the messages that come through, because it will be as if that Aries energy, wherever it falls in your natal chart, has now energetically moved to the first house. So you just got to apply that meaning from your chart to what comes through. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. For example, I've got Aries in the 9th house of perspectives. So I'll use those themes, right? And place that and equate and apply those themes to everything else that comes through, right? So I'm going to be breaking down the astrology for the rising sign. And this is happening for Aries rising in your 2nd house. This is the house of your resources, your skills and your tools in order to manifest and bring in regular income in this incarnation. It is it is the things that you value, and most importantly, how you value yourself. Right? If we don't value ourselves in a really healthy way, then we place value in things that distort the true sense of our value, as well as not being able to fully embrace the wonder of our skills and our tools and our capacity to manifest. And you have got this big full moon in Taurus. And this is I had a little sneak peek at what that card is. This is okay, well, let me pause. Now I've done the themes of the second, let me tell you what's going on with the tarot. So as I break down the astrology, I'm going to be shuffling cards, and there's going to be 4 main piles along this selenite stick. And the first pile is, because it's a full moon, right? Full moons represent an element of completion, an illumination, a coming together, a culmination of things, and also a closing out of it, right? And so we often are working with 2 sides of the same coin, right? The flow, the abundance, the elevation, as well as the shadow work and the entanglement and the stagnation. And so part 1 is what is closing out. There was a difficulty, a challenge, or some shadow work that you've been working through, roadblocks, those kind of things. That's going to be part 1 of what this full moon is closing out in regards to that side of the coin. And the other side of the coin, pile 2, is what's being embodied, what's being integrated with this full moon, what's coming to an end of like your learning process, and now is like getting locked in. Pile 3 is, as I said earlier in the beginning of the video, I work with 6-month cycles. So even though it's a full moon, we still get a download because we've come to a certain end, a closing out of a particular cycle. We've grown, we've learned, we've got more wisdom, more understanding, and with all of that we get a download that we then work with until the Taurus new moon next year. So this will be the pile 3 is the activation, the download that's coming through from this moon in regards to the Taurus area of your chart over the next 6 months that you'll be working with. And pile 4 is going to be some tools and some tricks and like what kind of energy do you want to focus on in order to amplify and work with the activation. I'll also I will also be pulling a couple of cards on what's going on with Uranus and a couple of cards with what's going on with Saturn, because this moon was conjunct Uranus, as well as the fixed star Algol. And so I really want to pull a couple of cards on Uranus because their energy is pretty wild. And Saturn, on the day this moon was full, went direct. So we've got a really real big shift in energy around Saturn in this that's implemented into this moon. So I'm going to pull a couple of cards on those two energies, as well as some cards from my two favorite oracle decks at the moment. Now, before I get going, if you want a deeper understanding of this moon, of like the general collective intention of this moon, before we focus in on your particular chart, go watch the collective reading, and that's where I break down the astrology in way more detail of how all the celestial bodies are talking to each other at the exact moment of the full moon that forms an energetic blueprint, right? And a download that we're then working with. And so when you sort of know what that root intention is, you can then apply it to all the different situations and scenarios that are going to be very particular to you and your incarnation in regards to the Taurus area of your chart. So I break that down in way more detail. I also pulled some collective tarot cards and channeled messages, as always, come through in that reading. All these oracle cards, I always pull them before doing a transit, and I will be doing the oracle reading when I finish up the All 12 Sign series. It's where I sum everything up and then see what the oracles have got to say. So Aries rising. Hi Aries. Not surprising, the kind of warrior energy comes out for you, Aries, ruled by Mars. Highly independent. Right, so Taurus is next door to you, as I said, that's in your second house, right? So it follows on from your ascendant, and it's your core values, right? It's this fixed earth sign. And it's there's this element of the physical senses of the body being very core tools for you to work with, right? The body, the physicality. And now it's conjunct Uranus and Algol, which is a fixed star, and I talk about a particular moment that happened on the big playing field, right? The world stage. That's what I meant to say, not the big playing field, but we are in a game. About Uranus, right? Conjunct Algol, and this was linked back into when Mars was conjunct Uranus, just to sort of give you a flavor of what's going on. So Algol is linked into Medusa, right? And there's an element of off with your head, of losing your head, both literally and figuratively, as well as distorted narratives, because obviously Medusa was deemed to be this horrendous, hideous monster, but there's a very good reason why she turned out that way. And so there's a sense of losing things in the head that have blocked our capacity to embody on a personal level the abundant nature of the universe in this incarnation. And that goes with the Uranian energy, because Uranus is the path clearer, the breaker of chains. It wants you to be confident and comfortable being your unique self as you move through these cosmic waters, right? It wants you to walk your soul's path, and it will shake your life up if you're not able to find that way yourself, right? It completely blew my whole life up because I was really broken, and I was really like, I didn't have the energy to escape. But it's about sudden changes, it's sudden shifts, right? Uranus can often be linked into the nervous system of all the connections right? And having them all work together, I've definitely felt since that full moon a reboot of my nervous system. That's had an effect on how I feel in my body. So Uranus, very independent, very contrary. It's going against the grain, going against tradition. It's very eureka moments, very inventive, very innovative, and all sorts of things. And there's a particular thing that came out in the news over the weekend that I'm going to bring into the oracle reading. I'm sure you're probably aware of it. Aliens in the ocean. Hello, Saturn in Pisces going direct in alignment with this moon, with Uranus, which is very kind of galactic energy because it's one of the outer planets. So conjunct the moon, who loves being in Taurus. It's one of the moon's favourite place to be because the moon is exalted in Taurus, because it's being supported by the gentle balm and support and love and tenderness of Venus, of meeting the moon's needs, of giving it nourishment, of feeling satisfied in this world, whereas the moon can get a little anxious, a little bit worried with all the things that are going on. And so this is a really lovely energy of liberating blocks in your mind that have stopped you, as I said, from embodying this incarnation and seeing the abundance of Taurus with Venus energy, of seeing the fertility, of seeing the capacity to slow down and smell the roses and feeling the beauty all in your body without the fear of overproductivity and go, do, be, and the horrible things that are going on in the world that can help disconnect us from really finding joy in the little things. So this is in your second house. So a removal of broken ideas in the head that have stopped you from truly seeing the next stages of how to elevate your skills and your tools, of truly believing in your own value. Right? A real elevation around the things that you do put value into, an elevation of those skills, as I said, closing out of the difficulties, and a really, eureka moments, really inventive ideas of how to work with your skills and tools, of how to manifest, right? And really, 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 truly, madly, deeply loving the path that you're on and the capacity of what you bring to the table, Aries. Now the sun, that's too many. The sun is over in Scorpio. And so often when we have a full moon, we get clues of the journey that we've been on where Scorpio is. And that for you is in the 8th house. And the 8th house is about the outside world's resources. Right? This is the exchange between you and anything other than yourself. And it can be linked into mortgages, loans, taxes, debt that you owe, debt that's owed to you, bonuses, commissions, inheritance, both 3D and cosmic. So it's sort of more one-off chunks of resources or money, as well as working with the resources of the outside world rather than the regular income over in the second house. And it's also about relationship dynamics. As I said, it's the exchange between you and anything other than yourself. Time, money, energy, intimacy, ideas. And this is not just on the material plane, it's on the spiritual, multidimensional plane. So it's a very psychic house. So often in this house we can have codependency, scarcity mindsets, right? Giving too much, taking too much, right? Where things aren't in balance, where that reciprocity between giving and taking is not in alignment. And so Scorpio, the sun in Scorpio is there. So it may highlight through relationships that value you being elevated, right? There's a clarity there. And you also may see in certain relationships in your life, whether it's your relationship with the outside world and how it's based on a lie, of scarcity, certain relationships in your life, whether it's friends, business energy, or romantic, where you're like, actually, I'm not getting the nourishment that I need. I'm not valued. In fact, I'm being taken advantage of, that kind of energy, or finding out, okay, maybe I'm doing that, right? And it reorientates you back to a sense of ease in your body, of your own value, because often when we take advantage of others, it's because we don't truly value ourselves. So we recreate that with our relationships. So there's something around that of really finding a clarity of those relationships in your life and also how you're showing up for them. Because that Scorpio energy, it helps us go into the darkness and find the truth, right? And really be able to have the courage to look at the murky, ugly things in our lives. Very powerful, very shamanic. This may be for some of you of getting a pay rise or getting a commission from someone who truly values your skills and your tools, and so you're getting a little bonus come in. Working on a project, you may get some more resources come in that is letting you know that what you do is of value. And therefore you're feeling more good about yourself because the outside world is going, hey Aries, I see you, I see what you do, I see what you bring to the table. Now the sun and the moon and obviously Uranus and Algol, they are making harmonious aspects to Pluto and Ceres in Capricorn and Neptune over in Pisces. Now this is what's forming called a cradle, by terms of how the aspects make a pattern, right, that we are being birthed out of. And it's all tied into, right, okay, so as well as the collective reading, I really recommend go watch the Pluto in Capricorn oracle reading, because I break down what I'm about to talk about and summarize in way more detail. That is part of a huge thing, and I think I'm going to do a separate video where I talk about the cycle that I'm just about to talk about and how it's all going to move into yang signs. Anyway, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, all the outer planets are all in yin signs, earth and water, and they are all making harmonious aspects with one another. Now, these outer planets are more galactic in their energy. They're more about longer term archetypal collective shifts of consciousness. And so we are in this stage right now of reorientating our rooted power and our magnetism, hello Pluto, in order to build in the long term based on a deeper knowing within our bodies of the truth of the magical reality that we live in. Neptune retrograde, pulling back the veil that we do not live in a magical reality. You know, really tapping into the fact that miracles are available to everybody, abundance is available to everybody, but we are working through denser matrices in order to get to that space. And this is what's being shifted and changed. So, rooted magnetism, drawing towards us a understanding of our power, of how to work with this new reality, this magical, I say new, just we're more consciously connected to it, magical reality that's in alignment with our soul's path, right? And our independence and our more future thinking maverick energy of Uranus. And they're all in yin signs. So this is a cultivating energy. This is a deepening. This is a surrendering and letting it all cultivate and bring nuance and depth. So we're observing the transformation. We're establishing strong, grounded foundations. We're allowing our emotional body to reorientate its memory back to the truth of this. And then they're all going to move into yang signs, where we're then when we're going to start building, taking action. So this formation that I just talked about is locked into this full moon with the added clarity of Scorpio, of really being able to see the truth. And this is birthing us, right? So a real recalibration. So Pluto and the asteroid Ceres is trining the moon, and a trine is an aspect of Jupiter. It brings about elevation, integration, wisdom, knowing, faith, confidence, flow, opportunities, abundance, ease of spirit. And Capricorn for you is in your 10th house of your life purpose and your career, right? Your career doesn't have to be your life purpose. It can just facilitate it. So that was at the bottom of the deck when I'd finished this set. I'm now going to pull cards for Uranus and Saturn. And so Pluto's doing its final leg there. It's going to move into Aquarius on the 19th of November. And it's with Ceres, and Ceres represents the harvest, abundance, nurturing, nourishment, the element of taking care, and there's a nutrition and nutrients. The harvest coming in, the bounty. So you may have felt in the lead up to this moon the opposite of that, right? Are you safe? Do you have the resources that you need? Are you nourished? Right? Are you able to receive nourishment, receive the bounty? Are you worrying about your stability of your life purpose and your career and where you're headed? And that was all coming to the surface in order to be released with Pluto in regards to your values, right? And how you value yourself and your skills and your tools. So Ceres and Pluto are bringing a sense of deep resources and power and magnetism into where you're headed, that's feeding into this moon of you intuitively connecting to your skills and tools that serve the elevation of that path. And Neptune over in Pisces is in your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries. Right, this is the unconscious realms, what's going on behind the scenes, and in those unconscious realms can be anxiety, depression, trauma responses, limiting beliefs, and we also deal with grief, loss, and isolation in the 12th. But underneath all that good stuff is the magic of your soul, and that is the cosmic joke of the universe to put the magic of our soul, our core power, right, our core power up underneath all those difficult energies that we've got to work through in this lifetime. So that Pisces energy, right, is making harmonious aspects, making a trine to the sun with outside world resources. So I can see a pulling back of the veil around the illusion of scarcity mindset in the unconscious realms, abundance mindset in the unconscious realms, relationship dynamics that don't serve you, that aren't full of possibility and magic, right? That's being pulled away by Neptune and supported by the vision of the sun, allowing you a deeper connection to source and a deeper connection with your higher self. That's getting creative with your skills and your tools over in the second house of like bringing that magic of your soul away from the distortions around certain love languages you may have learned that may have distorted the way that you value yourself. If this is not very loud for you, it could still be a slither in the unconscious realm that you think, oh, everything's going well, but taking you to the next level. So, pretty powerful stuff that is being birthed right now. So we want to look to where Venus is, because Venus rules this moon, and what's going on with Venus is influencing this moon, and she happens to be in Capricorn. She's quite far away from Ceres and Pluto, but she's still hanging out with them. And so she's influencing this 10th house, life purpose, career, visibility, reputation, bosses, right? She's making you feel good. There's a sense of the charm in the way that you're moving through the world, of how you're seen. You can see a definitely co-creation with feminine energy, not sex specific. We have it within all of us. Getting more creative, finding more value and appreciation of where you're headed and what you're doing. That is just helping you feel good and be in your flow. And it's like the grace and favor of Venus is then falling onto your skills and tools, where there's a sense of reciprocity, of understanding and connecting the dots, right? And finding connection and a healthy relationship between your life purpose and the skills that you have in order to manifest and get there, as well as how you value yourself. So Venus is influencing this moon of the next stage of where you're headed, is pulling you towards an alignment with your life purpose. And Venus is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So where's Saturn? Saturn's in Pisces with Neptune. And as I said at the beginning of the video, and I'm just pulling cards for it, Saturn's gone direct and went direct on the day of this moon. And interestingly, depending on which side of the planet you live on, this moon was happening either on a Friday, which is Venus's day, or on a Saturday, which is Saturn's day. So we've got a doubling down around the Venusian Saturnian energy. And this is a heightened level of maturity and integrity in the way that we connect. right? And the way that we're creative and what we desire. So as I said, that second house can often be things that you value, but those things may be distorted, and you may value things that then distort your own sense of values. And I really see with Saturn in the 12th, Saturn loves being in the 12th, by the way, regulars, you know, I've been banging on about this for you. So you're going through some really hardcore stuff, Aries, with that North Node in your sign. Oh my God, I'm here for it. I'm so here for that transformation. That reminds me, Venus square the nodes. So that nodal axis of Aries and Libra being pulled into this moon, of like you being confident, being yourself, you refining your relationship dynamics, releasing things that don't serve you, and really finding a way to be uniquely yourself while still working with the other. I can see this as relationship dynamics that aren't serving the embodiment of both parties in the way that you're moving in your life path, not necessarily falling away or working through it, right? Or as well as elevating those relationship dynamics, because squares can bring about conflict, drama and frustration. They're ruled by Mars, but they are about building. This could see more clients coming in, because 7th house can be clients, business partner where you're co-creating together and building in order to like moving forward in your life path between the self and the other in terms of your skills and your tools and your sense of value, and really getting a reciprocity come in. Anyway, back to Saturn and Venus. So there's a heightened level of maturity around love, around connection, around creativity, around relationship dynamics, around how we find what we desire, right? What we're drawn to, where our compulsions come from. And that Uranian energy with Algol is helping release things that you've just been placing too much value in that do not serve you. Now, Saturn is in Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. Where is Jupiter? So Jupiter's going to be influencing Saturn, therefore influencing Venus, therefore influencing the moon. And Jupiter's over in Gemini, which is in your 3rd house of your day-to-day, how you find meaning in the day-to-day, your environmental frequency, your local community, how you communicate, learning things for the first time, and short-distance trips. So Jupiter's influencing Saturn because you're feeling expansive in the way that you're communicating, you're finding more wisdom in the meaning in your day-to-day, and there's a sense of a deeper perspective, right? Because Jupiter's retrograde, and that often means that we start questioning things and going deeper into the deeper knowing and the deeper faith within ourselves in around how you find meaning in the day-to-day, right? Loosening of the bonds of blockages of our capacity to be able to learn new things and communicate in new ways. So all of that very fluid, curious wisdom energy of Jupiter is basically telling Saturn, hey, I want this energy of Aries to feel good in their day-to-day, right? And so that's helping release a lot of blockages, particularly around schools in your early years, right? Because 3rd house is linked into learning new things and schools. So often, like, going to school can be absolutely horrendous, that someone's going to have told you something that's diminished your sense of value and you've forgotten all about it. I definitely see a lot of clearing come through with that. Now Jupiter is being ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is over in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. So even though this is a Taurus moon ruled by Venus, it's actually being governed by Jupiter and Mercury, because they are in what's called mutual reception with one another, and the energy transfer defaults back to them. And so they're in each other's realms. They're in psychic hotline with one another. They are able to facilitate each other's journey. They know where they're really, it's just very, very helpful. And Mercury is up in Sagittarius in your 9th house of your perspectives, right? And Mercury is linked into the details, the information that we collect, our perceptions, how we communicate, right? What we're interested in communicating in. And so I can see a real elevation, of the way that you find meaning in your day-to-day, a deeper resonance in the way that you communicate that, and this heightened level of perception and being able to find a real clarity of truth, right, through the light of Sagittarius in your perspectives. And overall, this is all just feeding into your 2nd house of infusing this elevated perspective and this way that you put it into practice in the day-to-day, right, with that Jupiter energy, that's in alignment with releasing the magic of your soul, finding strength and maturity around certain wounds that are falling away, that's pulling that into a deeper knowing and resonance and intuitive reflection of how you move through this world in terms of your life purpose. It's then funneling into your skills and your tools and how you value yourself, right? This capacity to really elevate that and put it into practice in the day-to-day based on this elevated perspective. So that's a lot of astrology. I'm going to touch on a little bit more because the sun is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and whereas Mars happens to be in Leo, which is ruled by the sun. So we have another mutual reception going on that's quite separate from everything else that I just talked about. And Leo for you, Aries, is in your 5th house of your creation energy, right? This is your pleasure, your joy, your amusement, games, entertainment. This is children, both literal and figurative children, your inner child, and creative things you birth into the world. It's also about romance and dating and love, right? But it is your root energy is your creation energy. How do you create, right, in the world? And Mars is going to go retrograde in the sign of Leo. It's going to go back into Cancer, and then it's going to come back into Leo again. And so this energy with Mars and the sun is your motivations, your drives, your actions coming from your heart, coming from a place of creativity, and getting a lot of support and vision and clarity from the sun in regards to the resources of the outside world and those relationship dynamics, right? I can see you getting a lot of clarity around where to focus your momentum, right? Where there's blockages, where your creation energy isn't flowing, like of being able to redirect that and build in a different way. As well as getting a lot of downloads with the sun in the 8th from source that's going to be fed into your actions and your deeds around your creativity, and really strengthen your power to put this into action in regards to your skills and tools, and finding more creative joy there. And I can also see this as a building of healthier relationship dynamics with the outside world in the way that you take action that's more in alignment with your joy, and seeing more resonance come through. Jokes at that card coming through. You'll get it. You'll get it when I show it. I love it when sometimes I don't see any of these cards and it's blind for me as well as for you guys. Right, I'm just going to get an oracle card from 2 different decks. They're my 2 favourite decks at the moment. All the decks in the description box if any of them take your fancy. Right. And Aries, if you're activating a grand fire trine as well, because we've got Mars in Leo and we've got Mercury in Sagittarius. So your Aries energy is going to be activating a lot of very instinctive responses around how you embody yourself through your perspectives and your creativity there. It's all going to be sort of coming into a flow state and a level of alignment that's then you're going to be able to implement into your skills and your tools, right? And how you manifest, because there's just a sort of an easing off of a density that's allowing more instinctive transformation and creativity to come through. Right, let's get into the tarot. So what is being closed out, the sort of the shadow side of the coin, the struggles, the challenges, the difficulties. We have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse and the 5 of Wands in reverse. So there's this sense of what's being closed out is this sort of blockage, this restriction, of being able to create, of feeling a sense of renewal, of opportunities, of the next stage of your skills and your tools. Pentacles. Ishali diala ma dishali moyala dishali moto fiela. Ishini moyala diala moyala moyla 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 moyla. Dishini motoela. With that Ace of Pentacles in reverse, of not perhaps having those opportunities or seeing your own value, or as I said, just generally, I think is that renewal of the next stage of how you work with your skills and your tools, and a deepening of that, right? You may have felt a bit stagnant with it. And then I've got the Five of Wands, and I always go with the first thing that comes into my head. And the Five of Wands can be seen as training, right? Of sort of apprenticeship energy. And what I feel like is that's coming to a close. This sense of resistance and this sense of a certain stage has just hit a wall, right? And that may have felt quite frustrating. While at the same time, this is letting you know what you were doing was training for the next stage. And as well, that Five of Wands in reverse, and often I find reversals, it's not all the time, but are the inner journey, right? So it may have just been this inner conflict, this inner sort of procrastination, or lots of different things, wanting to do lots of different things, but nothing really getting you feeling like nothing's really moving forwards. So that's what's being closed out. What is being integrated, right? So the work that you've been doing, the stepping up. This is what's being integrated and sort of locked in, right? From the work that you've been doing since the new moon in Taurus. We've got the Nine of Cups and the Magician, which is quite a contrast to that page of, not the Page of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles and the Five of Wands in reverse. But so often when we go through these sort of difficult energies, we really go deeper within ourselves and find a deeper sense of satisfaction, right? And contentment in our lives, even if it's not necessarily manifesting externally. It really just sort of pulls back those layers and really recalibrates. And so we've got the Nine of Cups. This is the inner confidence. This is a sense of gratitude and abundance internally, right? This is sort of alignment of these cups in your emotional body, of feeling really quite confident and good about where you're at and what you're doing, right? Which is odd with that, but I really feel those two like sort of slotting together, that you had to go through this process in order to get to this space of this locking in. And obviously that moon is pulling that away and then activating this within you. I'm the Magician. What a card to show up for the second house, right? Through this inner alignment of your emotional body, right? Perhaps you've just got to a state of surrender in regards to that Scorpio energy of the 8th house of resources from the outside world and relationship dynamics, where, right, so often with the 8th house, we can externalize our needs to the other people and the outside world. Well, we need this and I need that, when actually you've got all of it within yourself. And there may have been a process of perhaps not getting what you need in order to know that's cultivated this inner alignment. And then the Magician card, which is Mercury. This is about knowing everything around you is a resource that you can work with, as above, so below, right? The sense of cultivating the flowers and the resources within allows you then to create and manifest in the 3D world. So this is a really beautiful alignment for the second house of you feeling confident within yourself and your emotional body, right? Of like feeling your value, feeling that sense of abundance, and then being able to look at your skills and your tools and your resources and be able to create magic from them. Okay, so what's being activated? What is the download that is then going to unfold over the next 6 months? We have the High Priestess and the Knight of Cups. Love this. Love this. Okay, so this is sort of tied into the water energy of Neptune and Saturn, as well as the sun over in Scorpio. And what I was kind of talking about, the yin energy that we're currently in, where there is this element of surrender with yin, of the observation, of letting it just cultivate and having a faith of how things are going to undulate and unfold. So what's being activated is the High Priestess and and the Knight of Cups. And so the High Priestess knows she's drawing towards her that which brings abundance and fertility, right? She's not having to go, I just clocked, you got the Magician and the High Priestess. Aries, you're bossing up here. That she knows she doesn't have to plan and micromanage. She doesn't have to really worry. It's not that she doesn't go and do things, but she's doing things from that place of surrender and what comes through. And that's where the Magician comes through. But there's a real deep sense of inner knowing that's coming in, that it is the moon's card, and so it does represent your needs being met and a sense of nourishment and a heightened sort of knowing, a psychic awareness in the back of your mind that you are where you're at and things are going to unfold, and you don't need to be in a fear mindset. You don't need to be clamping hold of anything to let it undulate and move forward. And that's doubled up by the Knight of Cups, which is saying move through the world from a place of love. This is what's coming in. This is what's being activated. The more you value yourself, the more you can do that. The more that you're not in a fear state, the more that you can do that, right? And the Knight of Cups is very creative. It's very imaginative. It is the emotional body. It is this sense of love. Your cup runneth over and you're drawn to things that you love. And there's a sense of reciprocity here. So there's a real flow coming in with these cards. And that really ties in with what I was saying about that Scorpio energy of relationship dynamics, right? That may have distorted your sense of value and how you're going to get activations where your physical body is going to be able to draw you towards things that serve you. Ishala, with those perspectives and Jupiter, Isha, in the way that you communicate. It's like an elevation. That just means you're not, right? That Knight of Cups isn't being drawn towards rejection or hate. It's following the vibe, man. What's at the bottom of the deck? Two of Cups. Love this. So union within yourself, masculine, feminine, and spirit, all coming into sovereignty with each other, and union with respect, honor, dignity, and equality. Right? This is an inner journey, an inner activation, that you'll see that reciprocity expand, right? In the sense they both want to give and receive. They both value each other. And so this doesn't just have to be about people. It can be for some of you. Venus in the 10th, right? Life purpose can be about finding someone, falling in love, connecting, having a really healthy relationship that's based on the truth of your own value. It can be your relationship with source, relationship with the outside world. But there's a real sense of deep healing and unity here. And I'm here for it. Okay, how to work with this energy. We have the Seven of Pentacles and the Page of Cups. So this Seven of Pentacles is saying, tend to this new frequency, plant seeds, put in the daily practice. Now that's Jupiter over in the 3rd, of doing things on a day-to-day basis, like your skills, your tools, like saying that you love yourself, saying the mantra I am, or I am enough, depends where you're at on your cycle, but putting into the practice on a day-to-day basis, right? Really cultivating this energy that's coming through, and know that you're going to get the abundance is going to unfold, and it's a real sense of enjoying the process of it, right? Remember, we're still working through this new paradigm that we've entered into, and now as our consciousness is expanding, we're finding it easier to access things that may have been a little more challenging in the past, right? That of a higher consciousness, that now we've got to then figure out how we work with them on an individual basis. So this is saying, right, just these skills, these tools, the way that you manifest, tend to it, right? Put in the practice, put in the work. It honestly, with everything, it is practice. And then that Page of Cups, this is about, observing the synchronicities, the magic around you. The Page of Cups is talking to a fish in a cup, and that fish is talking back, and he's cool with it. So it's very Pisces, this energy, the Page of Cups, and there's a sense of downloads and messages coming through. Observe them and then maybe put them into practice. right? There's a sense of communicating to yourself more with love, communicating just in general with more curiosity, imagination, and the sense of expansiveness. Ituela, be aware that there are opportunities that are non-rational that may be coming towards you. Ituela, dishinimotofia. Observe and think about and contemplate the world in that way, and then see how your skills and your tools and the way that you manifest start to shift and change, right? And just tend to the slow, gradual shiftings of all of that. Oh, my head is thrumming as I'm speaking about this. So what's Uranus up to? King of Swords and the Fool. And the Fool is often linked into Uranus. So confidence and clarity in who you are and what you bring to the table, right? Clear vision and being able to act on it, but from the space of the Fool. So you're releasing a lot of baggage, right? With Uranus in this energy, you're able to go out on a new adventure that might feel a little bit delusional because this Fool is about to jump off a cliff, but it knows a new reality is going to appear beneath it, right? There's this sense of faith with the clarity and acting from a place of the heart, right? The chest is really far forward on the Fool. It operates from the heart space, but it's also leaving the village, right? It's going and exploring life for itself. Very Aries. That it's not about what other people think about how your skills and tools and manifestation work, what works for you. And also looking at all of that with real fresh eyes and starting a new beginning around value and your skills. Yeah, my head is really throbbing around the third eye, and with all this water and that high priestess, it feels like it's clearing out a density and bringing in an activation code to just help pull that that knowing into the physical body, right? So your physical body isn't responding to the world from a place of trauma, and that's what's going on with that Uranus moon in Taurus. Is clearing out energy in the physical senses that are part of the old paradigm and allowing us to embody that Fool and start things afresh. Okay, so what's coming through with Saturn going direct in your 12th house? Now, remember there was a card that came out that I was like, jokes. Can you guess which one I was laughing at? Well, it was the Emperor, because that's your card, Aries. But also, that Six of Pentacles is very much, for me, a Saturn card. And this is a sense of moving away from scarcity. Remember, it's in your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries. There's unconscious responses, as well as the magic of your soul, right? And the Six of Pentacles is all about rebalancing, away from scarcity, away from a fear mindset, away from feeling left out in the cold. So there's a real sense of abundance coming into your unconscious realms, right? And the magic of your soul that you're then going to be able to implement in the way that you move through the world. This Aries energy from a place of confidence. Here for it. Okay, let's get into what was at the bottom of the deck. Nine of Pentacles, right? This is you doing the damn thing that is in alignment with a holistic life. Happy home, happy work, right? This figure knows what it needs to do in order to make the right decisions that serve that path, right, of a fully integrated life. And that means saying no, and that means also doing their own thing and not being falling prey to the judgment of others. So I really like that coming through for a second house transit. Very opulent energy with that one. Okay, let's look at the oracle cards. What have we got? We have from the Shaman's Dream Oracle, as I said, all the cards, all the decks are in the description box. And first up, we have Joyful Muse Inspiration. Di anima, yeah, follow the inspiration and put it into practice. Inspiration, the gift of play in a child. The joyful muse invites you to be more playful. That's Mars in the 5th, right? Of that Leo energy from the heart. Also very kind, very playful, very light. To have more mirth and joy in your life. You've become boring to yourself even as others continue to find you interesting. Circumstances have dulled your edge and it's time to change. Not the things around you, but your attitude. Blow a morning kiss to yourself in the mirror. Smile to a stranger, wink to a child. Be mildly but elegantly inappropriate. The joyful muse is a source of inspiration, a wild and disruptive feminine force that compels you to invite more pleasure and delight into your life. Give yourself permission to be mischievous and find the humour in the tragedy while careful not to become frivolous. The power of this muse will shake up everyone around you and invite you to create beauty and grace out of the pain and tragedy you perceive in areas of your life. I feel like that's summing up this and the astrology that we talked about, of like this bringing in this harmonization of the magician and the high priestess, of your capacity to work with both sides of the same coin and really find the resources within all of that. The joyful muse often comes at a time when darkness prevails and the future seems dour. Embrace her gifts, being playful without being silly. Invite the child inside you to come out for a play date, and he or she will help you to return to your innate innocence, hello the fool, and place of never been there, never done that. Even if it's the same routine you wake up to every morning. That's Jupiter over in the third. Let's just see what's at the bottom of the deck. Overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. An invitation to act now, the courage to step up into life, sheltering from turbulence. Oh, no, different one. Sorry, apologies. That was the perfect storm, but maybe you needed to hear that. Overflow. Too much, overwhelm, and plenty. So many good things are headed your way or are already occurring in your life right now, yet you may be thinking that they're not possible or you're not worthy of them. Abundance is everyone's natural state before we project our restrictions on it, defining what it means, who has it, who gets it, and so forth. Right now, take yourself out of your conditioning and look at your life through the eyes of plenty. There is so much beauty and love. Opportunities and divine synchronicities destined to support your dreams abound and are lined up for you. Yet it's sometimes difficult to discern it all because you're bombarded with too much information and stimulation, distracting you from the truth that all is well. Sometimes this overflow can be overwhelming, and you may find yourself responding with empathy overload. Empathy overload occurs when you tune into the collective angst and fear about impending changes and uncertainties. It's unmanageable. You feel like you're drowning in those emotions. It's time to allow yourself to detach. That's Mercury over in the ninth, right? The ninth gets a bashing at the moment and throughout the dawn of time, because of what's going on in the world. Like, how can we find joy? How can we really accept that there is abundance in this universe when we don't see it? Right? When we don't see it, and when we may have it in our own lives, and then like we feel guilt and shame that it's going on elsewhere. That Mercury Jupiter is elevating that perspective, right, in order for you to feel good in the 3D world without not doing the things that then serve humanity, right? But your inner frequency, coming from a very, very genuine place, will be serving the collective. It's you feel like you're drowning in those emotions. It's time to allow yourself to detach. Bring yourself back to your life, restore your faith in the power greater than you, and remind yourself to focus on your smaller personal universe, which is much easier to manage. In this way, you know that you are a conduit for life's blessings and can share them with others, making this perception of overflow profoundly positive. Get in, Aries. Right. What's up next from a Rainbow Brainskull Oracle? My new favourite deck. It was a early Christmas present from someone very near and dear to me, and it came in time for the Scorpio reading. No decisions, just grooving. What did I say? Follow the vibe. Stop making life harder than it actually is. You don't need to tell your heart to beat, it just does. And that's a more important job than anything your chattering mind does. Let go and dance to the rhythm of it all. Well, that kind of sums up that kind of release of the Algol and Uranus, of things going on in the head that have blocked you from being in your groove, right? From following the vibe. And at the bottom of the deck we have infinite freedom of thought is your foundation. So, let's see if I'm in the right thing. The only thing you have any true control over is your internal train of thought. Instead of defaulting to existing thought patterns, make an effort to steer your inner monologue towards peace, joy, and wonder. Well, Aries, I mean, they all summed up everything beautifully. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. If it did, don't forget to hit that like button. It brings me so much joy. As always, it's an honor and a privilege to read for you, Aries. If you want a personal reading, perhaps to deep dive a little further on this or anything else, my details are everywhere. Other than that, be good to yourself, Aries. Be good to those around you. Safe travels and be well until we meet again.